Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and what we're doing today is taking our first look at new Babbage, and I want to kind of show you basically all the locations that you can go to and where you might find some points of interest. This just dropped in 3.9's PTU and is available for you to check out. Where we are starting is in the kind of the hab areas. You do have a nice little window that overlooks the city, which is nice. And if you look at this and compare it to like Lorville or some of the other spots, it's just a more refined look. When you compare this to like Al-Azhar or Grimhex, the difference is that this is really an apartment where you actually have like a rented habitation in a cube at some of the smaller locations. The design here is still impressive. You have a lot of windows. They like to let you overlook the city. They've got neon throughout the city, which really is nice because it doesn't feel as oppressive as it does at some locations. The views from here are really nice, especially during the daylight, and you can see New Babbage Spaceport out there on the distance. So when you spawn here, you'll see their logo there, the Nest Apartment. It's real fancy. But once you actually come to the elevator, you want to go down to the bottom floor. It does have the similar elevator interaction system that the Carrack does. A lot of people get confused here because they don't see lobby. You just need to scroll down with your mouse wheel instead of having that inner thought system that pops up. It's a cleaner experience, and it really just kind of shows the direction that they want to take things in. Now, New Babbage, according to the trams, has three real core areas, being the Commons, which is kind of your shopping area. You've got the Aspire area, which is where the habitation and the kind of living area really is. And then off of that, you actually have the Spaceport. And you have an underground loop system that will actually take you to those destinations, which I'll show you in just a second. Here we do have the Brentworth Care Center, which is going to be a hospital at some point. Maybe it does some additional things like allowing you to change your character customization. In many locations, they do have the fine terminals to allow you to pay off, any crimes that you may have committed that are lower level that you don't want to turn into a crime stat, for example. The transportation system, for the most part, is located underground. It is a tube system, and as you exit here, you're going to notice that there's writing on the wall telling you where you want to go. So on the left, that tram would take us to the Spaceport. On the right, that tram would take us to the Commons. So that's where we're going to head. So once you actually take the tram to the Commons, first off, you're going to notice that the tram design is significantly improved. It seems like it rides very smoothly. It's very fast. You have glass kind of encasing you. And it takes several different paths to get you where you want to go. Most of it does survive underground, although sometimes you do end up above the actual underground and you get to see the city around you, which is really nice. Once you do arrive at the Commons, what your first thing is going to see is a running track with a bunch of people that are running around. They will actually stop and avoid collision with you. There's also kind of a section in the middle where people are going to be doing yoga, and even off to one side there's a rock climbing wall, which unfortunately you can't really use right now. In this place, you're going to notice that there are a lot of like kind of restaurants and healthy living options. There's a little gym. There's a lot of things here you can't really do. But that's just kind of the center of the Commons. On either side of the Commons, you essentially have two different areas, one being New Babbage Plaza, which is going to be where you're doing more of your shopping. And then on the other side is going to be the Promenade, which is really more of kind of an entertainment area. Once you enter New Babbage Plaza, you're actually going to see this thing called Factory Line, which is right in the middle, and that's essentially where you're going to have like the Moby Glass type of store available there. But what you really have here is kind of along the outside. If you almost view this as like a circuit or a track of sorts, everything along the outside is where your main stores are going to be, and there's some really important ones in here. Starting off with Shubin, for example, that's where you're going to be able to go to do some of the mining stuff. So if you want to go in there and actually buy mining heads for your prospector or your mole, or you want to buy the rucksack or the Grey Cat mining tool, basically everything you need to be able to do mining is available from the terminals outside the store, even though the store is not open right now. In addition there, they actually give you the option to buy the new mining consumables, which have an impact on your one-time burn and ability to treat rocks in a different manner. Other locations here are going to be the TDD, which is your trade district. The TDD office here is a really nice looking one. Frankly, they all seem to be pretty sharp, whether you're on ArtCorp or Hurston or here. That type of location is really nice. Here you do have a nice hologram of the planet. You also end up having some of the trade screens up on top that show like the value of commodities, even though it's not real time or accurate. And then what you have is the terminals where you can actually buy or sell goods. And one thing that we see here is that a lot of these terminals have actually had their interfaces redone, so you get a much better idea of what you're doing at this location when you look at the terminal. It's no longer you have to have that tribal knowledge of which one do you click on to make it work. Beyond there, you have Center Mass. Center Mass is a weapons shop. What they offer you is turrets and guns and missiles for ships. You also have the ability to buy components or FPS weapons as well. You can buy missiles for ships as well. And then in addition, you have kind of in the utility tab, you have the option to buy things like oxygen pens and med pens. It's a cool looking store. It's very blue. It's very sleek. I like the way it was done up. There are a few other locations here that I think are relevant to know about. One of those being planetary services. It's one of the smaller offices here, but there's actually quite a bit that you can do from planetary services. The first being that you can end up doing like a box drop mission in one of the actual kind of kiosks. Aside from that, you also have the ability to sell mining goods and buy and sell commodities from a terminal. And it just seems like a place where you might end up being able to do some like mission giver type of things, or just some of the coordinated missions from your mobiGlas in general. It will probably send you to that location fairly frequently. There's another one that I don't really know about right now, and it's the protection service. I'm not sure if this is just supposed to be like a security office for the NPCs that guard this place, or if it's really meant to be more of like a bounty hunters guild location. So when that gameplay comes in, maybe that's a relevant type of location for you, but we'll end up needing to see what that is. The other two locations here that are important to know would be FTL. FTL is going to be the courier in game. So for example, if you end up needing to make a drop, or you're picking up a package, FTL is one of the locations you can do that. And frankly, there's a lot of places in this place that have kiosks, so I think missions may be sending you all over New Babbage. And then the last one there is going to be kind of the counterpart to Center Mass, which here is known as Omega Pro. And Omega Pro is really designed to have all of the non-weaponry components for your ships available for you to use as you see fit. So what that really is going to look like is, shield generators, quantum drives, power plants, coolers, those types of things are all available at Omega Pro. And it's really got kind of this cool setup as far as the display and the feel. It doesn't really feel like any of the other stores that we've seen. So that's basically New Babbage Plaza. Now, if you cut back through the commons where people are being all healthy, you can end up taking this long glass tunnel to the other side, which is known as the Promenade. That glass tunnel is cool because you get some nice views of the city and the trams and just other things that are happening around you. And when you get to the other side, you're greeted by a bar and a lot of restaurants, and your experience there is going to vary by time of day. If you show up in the day, you get a very kind of tranquil experience. The music is calm. There's not a lot of people partying. You don't have laser lights everywhere. It really feels more like a spa type of experience. If you go during the night, however, you end up getting, laser shows and kind of house music. There's more people around, and there's just a lot to consider. And it's cool the way that it changes during the day. I've kind of equated the Promenade to like a space Vegas right now. There's stores and stuff that you can tell are going to open at some point. It's mostly restaurants and bars. There is one location there that may be of interest to you. It's called Apparelli. Apparelli is an apparel store, and that's essentially where you can buy some things for your character if you want to walk around a city and not look like a spaceman. That being said, you're still going to look like you're from the future because the clothing there is microtech weird, meaning there's like some weird like designs and gold intrications into it. You also have a shirt line that actually has like a holographic caterpillar floating across it. So there's some pretty interesting stuff there. But the Promenade right now is really more about the experience. You get, laser lights, and you get kind of that party vibe. You also have these big glaciers that are kind of cut, and they're melting in there, which are creating waterfalls. You have these blend of, real flora with like holographic fauna. It's just a really cool and unique place. And even if that's not your type of thing you want to do in the verse, it's still something I would highly encourage you to go check because it really is pretty neat. Along these areas, and in a couple places, primarily at the Spaceport and at the Commons, you do have the opportunity to take a elevator up to the surface. Up there, what you're going to find is there is like storage for like suits and things like that because microtech is cold. It's one of those places that can kill you if you stay outside for too long without the appropriate protection. Up there, you also do have an airlock available to you, and it seems like most, if not all of them, actually provide you with access to a garage. that garage will actually give you the ability to pull something like a rover, where you could obviously be a little bit more protected. But wherever you see surface entrance, that's essentially where you're going to have the elevator that's going to take you to where you want to go. Beyond that, the other location is going to be the Spaceport. And at the Spaceport is exactly where you're going to be pulling your spaceships. Right now, the hangars there really seem like they're kind of copy-paste from Lorville. I don't know the long-term plan for those, but I imagine the experience is not what they had in mind. So I bet it was kind of a quick way to get us where we needed to be so we could be in New Babbage right now. At the Spaceport, once you go upstairs, you're kind of greeted by this big window that gives you an overlook of the city, and especially if you're there during the day, it's really pretty cool. Once you get to the top, there's a couple different areas where you can go. One of those is going to be your ship rentals location. Once you come up the stairs, it's going to be on your left-hand side. And you do have the ability to rent some cool new ships, like the Phoenix, for example, has not been rentable before, but now at this location, at least you do have the option to rent that, among other ships, obviously. Once you actually go towards the back middle of the Spaceport area, that's where you're going to see options for the commercial wines. Commercial is not in game right now, but I think eventually what you're going to see is kind of two phases. One where you probably have like Genesis Starliners that are taking people between spaceports at regular frequencies, and NPCs will probably be doing that along with us if we don't want to have to spawn a ship to get there on our own. I would also expect at some point that for people that have player transportation ships, you probably will be leveraging that from that location as well. Aside from that, the only other location at the Spaceport is really going to be, where you're pulling your ships. So you have the ASOP terminals there to make your selection, and you also have some elevators along the same area to take you up to the surface where, of course, you can pull a ship if you want to. If you're just wearing your noob jammies, as people like to call the flight suit, it is worth calling out that you really only have about 18 minutes of survival time before you freeze into an ice cube. So make sure you either have a suit that provides you with protection from the cold, or make sure you have a vehicle that you can get into, because dying of the cold would be a long, slow death. So that's essentially New Babbage. Really well done, and I think everybody looks at it and says, compared to all of the spaceports that we've gotten, this one's probably the most well designed and well completed, which I think shows that CAG is learning as they're continuing to add more and more of these locations, so that is great news. Once you guys get access to 3.9, you're obviously going to want to check it out. I highly encourage you to do so. So make your way out there and give it a go, because I don't think you're going to regret it. So if you guys have questions about New Babbage or Microtech in general, please let me know. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all watching. Stay tuned for a whole lot more coming soon, and have yourselves a wonderful day. Take care.